Welcome to the group chat with Tara Thomas and Amanda Goodman of Faith and Four Letter Words.
We made it to Friday.
We are here.
Friday.
I know. Very good. I love it.
It's great to also, well, now that the wind has died down from 100 miles per hour
For
last
now.
night. Yeah.
For now.
It's great to feel that spring is springing, right? If you guys were out and about yesterday, it got considerably colder as the day wore on, but there was a period, like in the morning even, where I kind of felt like spring is in the air.
It's here. It's here. I know you could smell it. Like it was when it rained
exactly.
yesterday afternoon. I was working down in Cedar Rapids and it rained, but I came in and I'm like, it's okay. It's a spring rain. You can smell it. It's
Do
like
we
a different
have
rain.
too much headroom in our shot? Should I move
Yeah,
it?
I think maybe we
Okay.
do.
Okay, I'll move it down just a titch. Just a titch.
I don't know what word you said right
There
there.
we go. There we go.
that-
We're back.
I'm looking too like, if I look too busty, I look too like, why? No, I'm good. Well, thank you for so much for joining us. It is Friday, March 27th. Today we are, again, all month long. You've got a special deal if you are watching this. Our friends at Azalea Lane Boutique are proud sponsors because they believe in empowering women. And because of that, they are offering you 15% off your entire order. We start with the top of the show with that because who does not want money off their order? So
Yes.
the code at azalealaneboutique.com is FFLW15. Put that in at the very end and you get 15% off until the end of March. So we only have a few more days. So make sure you act on that.
And when we say Azalea, it's as it sounds, AZALEA boutique.com. And you've got to check out her spring fashions.
Oh, she's amazing. And one of these pretty soon, see, we have no production behind the scenes. We like it that way because we don't like being told what to do. So we normally, we could be like this in the old days. Run it on the Chiron, please. Pull up Chiron, like where you pull up on the lower third.
Exactly.
That is called a lower third. That
Mhm.
little thing that you see right there.
Yes,
So we're
our
teaching
our group chat super. So Middle River Cabinetry out of Winterset, another sponsor, and then Splendore
Fountain of you.
in Cedar Falls,
Splendore.
liquid facelift.
Hey, the hey.
Yeah, thank you, Liz, for attempting to make us look younger. I do feel like, and we talk about this, when you're on the Facebook, when you're scrolling social
Did
media.
you say the Facebook?
Yeah, don't you feel like, and we say this all the time, when you see somebody from your class, your high school class, or somebody that you know is your same age and you haven't seen them in a while, sometimes you look at that person and you say, wow, they look way older, or they really aged. And then you think to yourself, oh, but I hope I don't look that old. But then the truth is the reverse is happening where people are thinking that we look older too.
Oh, for sure. They really let themselves go. I mean, I was doing the scrolling. I was doing scrolling the other day on Facebook and I ran across some people and I was like, who are who's that old? Like, who is that? Oh, we went to school together. You know what I mean? And you're like, that's me. Like, is that me? Am I, and
it's true. We don't recognize how much we're seeing in other people, I guess, what they're seeing in us, so to speak, as far as all the changes that we go through. But we've acknowledged this, and those of you who have done this can agree. When we were in our 20s, Gen X, the whole thing, the fake lashes,
didn't exist.
the brow
No.
lamination.
No.
I mean, even like the dip for your nails, none of that was a thing. And so we didn't have the ability to kind of fake it till we make it with the upkeep the way that our older selves can.
We were doing the cap highlight where they would like crush your scalp, pulling the thing out of the cap, and we had the lines. But I was watching something interesting.
Yes, that's
what was
so
it?
funny.
Kelly, what did Kelly and Mark Live with Kelly and Mark? Is that her husband's name? Correct.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
I don't
find
watch.
Kelly kind of annoying, and it's so mean because I know, I have to turn this down. I wanted to pull up the comments, but what is it about? Okay, I know why I find her annoying, and those of you who watch can appreciate this. She always puts her husband down as a joke. That's her shtick.
That's her thing.
And I think it's really weird.
It's weird. Right.
I don't know. Okay, sorry.
So, no, she had Howie Mandel was on. And I think he said that he was 70, he just had a birthday and he was turning 70. And she reacted like, you've got to be kidding me. And she was like, you look so good. And he said, I didn't say I was ugly. You know what I mean? He was just like, he was very offended by it. And it's something that we do without even thinking. Like somebody the other day, I mean, I will tell you, I'm 48. I'm very proud to be 48. And someone's like, what? Wow. Like, well, you look good for 48. And and I'm like, I mean, I was thinking in my head too.
They mean it complimentary.
You mean it, because I
Yeah.
think we all mean it, because I've done it too. I mean, the other day we
Mhm.
had a woman at her show. She was 91, and this woman looked
Levon
amazing.
Heiselman.
She looked amazing. And it was, we have to like, we don't even realize that we could be like offending somebody.
Yeah. She did. She also had the mobility of a much younger person. And that's, I mean,
yes.
perhaps it's because she's like, we didn't ask, but doing stretches and all. I mean, do you ever see, I know you do, because we both are on the same algorithm, the email or the ad that pops up where it's, or not email, but the ad, or like the, in my case on X, the post that pops up, and then it's like, if you don't do strength training, 3 days a week,
Yeah.
your body
you're
is
brittle.
20 years old. Yeah. And I'm just thinking, like, we've said this so many times. It's too much. I can't, if I get the water intake and I do the face wash
It's a
and then
lot.
I do the toner, the astringent, like there's only so many steps we can add to our daily lives
Yeah.
that we can sustain before it just becomes almost too regimented that you're not even enjoying life because you're checking off a list of 25 things.
Listen,
you
I
know?
changed the water cooler at work. I'm good. Like I will change. Like I changed the water cooler at work, and I always feel like they're like, wow, good job. Like it's like,
oh my,
thank you,
yeah,
thank you.
that, hey,
By the
that's
way,
your contribution.
what do you have like a Pond's cold cream on your hand? You smell very good, very fresh, very like.
I got a new perfume for Valentine's Day from Dave.
Oh, it
And
smells
I
good.
It's a Burberry.
Okay.
So I switched. So I was very loyal to.
Sorry, you smell very
Thank
you
you.
smell like a very fresh.
Thank you. I was very loyal to the Julia Roberts advertised Lancome La Vie Belle.
Okay.
And it's an
Listen.
amazing, but then I switched now to this Burberry.
I wear the same perfume, and it's very much of a summer perfume.
Okay.
What
What
is
is it?
Dolce & Gabbana, light
that's-
blue.
Yeah, that's
It
good.
is my favorite perfume. I wear it everywhere. But yeah, you just smell.
Well, thank you.
Smell lovely.
I smell fresh.
Yeah, you do. You smell very like it's very like
Well, okay, to the comments. This is hilarious because we totally relate. Amy Shannon said, saying I look just as old as my classmates, you just unlocked my biggest fear. I know, I agree. Well, and then the other thing I told you, which is true, because my husband is quite a bit older than me, when I have gone to his high school reunions or seen some of his classmates, I think, I mean,
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
that they're not aging well, but it's like they're way older. So then I go, okay. And then you kind of, just like you with Hector being younger, you kind of recognize like, okay, I couldn't be with somebody who looks that old, or in your case, you wouldn't want to be with somebody who like looks like your son.
no,
But
Lord.
but when we think of our husbands, it's like they sort of transcend their age.
I didn't know my husband was younger. I mean, it was by the time of the third date, because he's very debonair. I use that word to describe him. He was very mature, and he was just he had that black slick back hair, right? So I didn't know how old, and then I looked at his license, and I thought I was gonna have a panic attack.
It was like Age of Attraction.
I started watching the show. So my husband is like 5-6 years younger than me. Okay. I started watching the show on Netflix that Tara recommended because I'm like, let's see what she's about. Let's see this. I am like,
You gotta watch it. So
Stunned.
think Love is Blind with May December romances. And so when you watch that and you see these relationships unfolding, the question I had for you is, are they steering those people in the direction of the much older or much younger
it had to
people?
have been.
Because there were so many younger people.
Listen, and
wouldn't
there-
you have gravitated some of them to your same aged group?
Yeah, I mean, like,
so they had to have told them.
there are several people in there in that experiment where you don't know their age. Like you
Right.
don't. But there's like a couple that I'm looking at these women and I'm like, I can tell she's in her 50s.
Correct.
Like you can
And
tell
does
she's in her
look
50s.
good.
She looks
for-
amazing. She's amazing.
You're right.
But you can tell she's in her 50s.
Right.
She doesn't look good for being 50. She just looks good, period.
Yeah.
But you can still tell. And then her boyfriend just looks much younger. And you can tell, like, I'm into the one. I don't want to ruin it because I always do that
don't
for you. I'm
say
sorry.
their
But I
age.
mean, the one woman is so fixated on it. So then when they're out into the real world,
Mhm.
they went to work out and she's obsessed with it. She says, did you see those people looking at us? Those people were looking at us. Like, so she's not we're not talking like a few years difference between these people. We are talking 30 decades.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It's quite a jump. And it is very interesting because the two people that are the hosts, who are a lot less annoying.
First of all, no, I cannot with the.
But they're a lot less annoying than Nick Lachey and his wife.
Yeah, but no, these ones, these are the ones who have the podcast, right? That they were on. They have the Viall. Is it the Nick Viall files? Or
okay, I thank
they
you.
do like a podcast.
I wonder
together.
from where they came, but I
So,
recognize that.
This is the prime example, right? So like everybody has a podcast today. Everybody thinks they can go on TV. Everybody thinks that the job that we did was so easy. And I take that as a compliment because it's not easy and not everybody can do it. You know, case in point, Reese Witherspoon and Jennifer Aniston on the show, The Morning Show. When they act as anchors on there, they're awful. Like it's just so disjointed. It drives me bananas. So you put these two people who have this successful podcast. Now they're doing the host where they're trying to interact. And here, welcome. We will see how it goes. And I'm like, this is just torture. Like I cannot.
So the reason they were tapped to co-host Age of Attraction is because they have a huge age gap, but they never, and I didn't look it up. He, the husband, looks young, and I'm assuming he's older.
Let me see. Yeah.
Yeah. You need to look that up.
Yeah.
So speaking of age and generational differences, I came across an article that it actually, the stats blew my mind. So if you are familiar, 18 years.
So he's a former Bachelor star, Nick Viall. I don't know his name. He was a former Bachelor star. He is 45 years old. He married Natalie Joy. They and she is 18 years younger than him, so she's 27.
Okay. And they don't look that wide in terms of age difference, just because he does look younger for 45, but he also has, dare I say, a very high-pitched voice. And you and I have talked about this. We have very deep voices. And so for us, like, we just have always said, there's no way we could date or marry a guy who had a higher voice.
No.
And I know that you shouldn't discriminate, but I can't imagine if I sounded like the guy and he sounded like
this is why I wish you loved Seinfeld, because there's an episode for everything. Like there's an episode with the guy with a high voice. And I think it's a whole thing. It's a phenomenal episode.
So what's really interesting, and we've shared this before too, growing up, because we had a deeper voice, there were times where, much like girls or guys are singled out for differences, there was a little bit of a singling out of me, but it didn't it didn't bother me, because what my 8th grade homeroom teacher was also the school's music teacher. Her seating order arrangement was by vocal tone.
Okay.
So all the soprano girls were in the front left corner of the room, and then so on and so forth. I had the deepest voice of all the girls. So I was the last girl before the baritone and tenor boys started in the seating chart.
That's where I want to say anyway. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, it's so funny because you know how you just don't forget being distinctively sort of arranged, in this case based on our voice. And so then, you know, you fast forward to our pursuit of our roles as journalists, broadcast journalists. And I'll never forget when I was doing an internship in Peoria, a longtime meteorologist who's since retired, he said, "You have a great set of pipes." And I always, and that wasn't meant to be offensive. But then we have realized and recognized, and many people watching will agree with this, there was a time back in our day when going into broadcasting meant that your voice had to be distinctive or have depth and breadth to it in order to get an on-air job. That is gone. That is gone.
The level, the line has gone down here. I mean, one thing.
We hear these voices and I just think, and it's awful to say, but the voice can be distracting if it's not effective in delivery.
Right. And I have a deep voice as well, but there was something about when the lights go on, like, I think I just dropped to it too.
Yeah.
My voice would drop even lower because I was very conscious, because nobody wants to listen to like this whiny nails on a chalkboard voice. So when those lights would go, I'd be like, "Good evening. Thank you for joining us. I'm Amanda Goodman." Because it was, you got it coming from here. So I'm thankful. I got made fun of from, man voice. I don't
Mandy
care.
Man voice.
Mandy Man boy, Mandy Man, good man. And then as I shared the picture yesterday with the horrible hair.
Gosh, it is so cute though, and it's crazy how I see Lucci. I do see Aria in it, but I
Lucci's my
see
twin.
Lucci so much, and it's like crazy how when back in the day, those curly perms, and then it was like
You would
so
get a-
popular.
you
but
would get
yet
a
we
perm-
looked like we were 80-year-old women.
I look like Sophia Petrillo. Like I came out like my grandmother literally took me to the beauty school, and she was because grandma's
Sophia, is that the Golden
Sophia,
Girls?
yeah, the older one. Picture this, Sicily, 1927. But like my grandmother would go to the beauty school every Thursday, and she would get her hair done, and for the week,
Set, right?
yeah, she would get it set. So
I
my
love
uncle
it.
was getting married. I already had very short hair, and it was like this is when you had really short hair, but you only got the perm on the top. Like I already had a minivan, and I had a mortgage apparently, and then so my grandmother takes me in, and she was like, let's set her hair just like mine.
Oh my god!
And this is when I should have known it was bad. And this is when I should have known it was bad. All of my older relatives, all of like the older, my grandma and her siblings, all my great aunts and uncles, everything, they're like, "You look darling. You look darling." That's when you know. That's when you know. Like, but my dad was like sending me all these pictures the other day, and he was like, "This is my favorite picture of you." I'm like, "Oh,
that's sweet."
But
and
it
you were
was
dancing with him.
I was
That's
dancing
so
with him,
cute.
and I was in my my dad is my
you were
homie.
in your gown, like you were performing in the
Well, I remember.
the what is that called, the chorale for your high school?
Oh, I don't even. What is that called?
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about?
yeah,
When they do like the dinners where they serve like the medieval times.
Oh,
You were
that's
like-
so funny. That was like, but I was really living it up because it was like I said, my uncle was getting married, and I was asked to be a bridesmaid. My older sister
Oh,
was
that's
not.
Oh wow!
So when it came time, my dad was like a best man. So when it came time, so I got to dance with my father, and I remember because I was looking over the camera. I was looking over the camera because I was looking at my sister saying, because she was the oldest and I was the middle. So finally the middle child was getting like.
Isn't it funny how seeing those old photos takes you back to how you were feeling at the time,
But,
what you were going through?
But as they were looking through pictures, so everyone was like, my whole family was like, making fun of me. They sent one of my sister, and I said like
With the salt and pepper.
salt and pepper. I'm gonna have to post it later. My sister is 5 years older. My sister has naturally curly hair, but then she had it like short here, and it was a little longer.
The bi-level.
I mean, and it was, and so I was showing Lucci. Luciana, not only is she my spicy one, she's one of the funniest people I've ever met. Like at 10 years old, her comedic timing is like spot on. And so I show her this picture, and she goes, "Okay." Like just very much like, "Okay." Like she's had enough.
Now, if you missed this photo of Amanda at said wedding, go back. It was posted yesterday on our Faith and Four Letter Words page. And then thanks to everybody who shared their own
Oh, I love that.
embarrassing hair photos.
Please,
they
I
were very,
if you
very
have
fun.
If you have an we all, I mean, if you were Gen X or older,
Oh,
you
totally.
have, because that's the thing. I'm like, while I'm looking at this picture, my 17-year-old, my high school senior, is like on the end of the couch with her phone, and she was like, there's these extensions I want to get for prom. Can we get these extensions? And I'm like, I'm sending you to like a beauty school. Like I'm gonna have your hair set. Like we were going. My father took me to the barber like on Saturday morning, and
Totally.
I was my dad's shadow. So anywhere my dad went, I wanted to go, and I loved going to the barber shop because that's the old school barber shops where they would stay for hours. Like my dad would be there for like 5 hours, like talking and stuff. But I had this short hair, like this uneven, like up here. I mean, it was horrible, but I didn't care because it was like time with my dad.
Right. No, and I love that was something for you, that picture that reminded you of how you have always been a daddy's girl.
Oh, yeah.
Which is really, really special. So if those of you joining us are basketball fans, and even if you're not,
my God.
you had to be living under a rock to miss hearing about or watching the Iowa-Nebraska game. And we are so happy for Iowa. First time since 1987, the Iowa Hawkeye basketball team, the men's, have made it to the Elite Eight. And it was so interesting because I had forgotten Fred Hoiberg used to be at Iowa State, correct?
Yes, he was.
And so
he left to go
now-
to the Bulls.
So then coming from the Bulls now to Nebraska, right? it's just been an interesting trajectory for him. And then you look at Ben McCollum and the current Iowa coach who came from Drake. What a record when this guy who had played a couple years in college ended up going into coaching. His win record is insane from the lower level Division II, and then ultimately Drake and now Iowa schools. I mean, his first season as the Iowa coach, and he gets them all the way to the Elite Eight.
With a lot of Drake players.
Now, did you see Bruce Pearl?
I did.
With his commentary. So fun fact, my parents were on a cruise one time and ran into Bruce Pearl with some woman. Now,
hopefully you all know who these people are.
Hopefully if his wife so he was the longtime Tennessee coach.
Yes.
So Bruce Pearl in his mid-20s was an assistant under Tom Davis. So he brought up and I had forgotten this, Davis wanted to stay on one more season in 1999, and then Bob Bowlesy, the then AD, fired him. And they have now since, much like the Cubs, called it the curse of the Hawkeyes with Tom Davis being fired, that they were never able to have the repeat level of success because of that. Now, I had not heard about this. This last night, Bruce Pearl sharing this was the first I had heard about this. So he was an assistant at the time, and it was interesting and fun for Hawkeye fans. He was ticking off all of these Hawkeye players that went on to great success in the NBA, including BJ Armstrong.
Okay. All right. I don't know him, but
I think he played for the Bulls.
Yeah, no, I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know a lot about Iowa basketball until we moved to Iowa, 13 years ago. But here's what I noticed as a basketball player. Iowa has phenomenal fundamentals. The way they work the ball, pass the ball, they work as one engine. It is one engine. It is not, yes, there's individual players that are fantastic. They work as a complete unit. And it is not one person trying to outshine the next one. Like the way they work the ball outside of the perimeter and they were doing these passes and setting up the right shot. I mean, they had Nebraska literally on their heels. They were just chasing the ball. It was phenomenal. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, okay, these are fundamentals. These are fundamentals. And like my kids are like, okay, Hoosiers, like calm down. Like, because, the movie Hoosiers.
I totally agree, which by the way, that has been on all week, and Dave and I were watching it, and I forgot how
good it is.
And also we talk about this, much like Sophia, your Golden Girl twin, it's shocking when you hear the age of those people. So the Golden Girls were like in their 40s, and when we watch those shows, we perceive them like they were in their 70s and 80s. Gene Hackman, when he came into that school.
Oh no, how old was he?
No, I thought, when you watch the show, it seems like he's like in his 70s, and he was 50 years old, and they were making it seem like he was so
washed up.
Yes.
That movie.
And and it was like, oh my gosh, you forget when you watch it, like, because we thought of him as older. Now we're that age,
It's crazy. My dad was watching the game closely last night, and he, depending on where you live in the country, you don't know where the rivalries are. And my dad was like, man, because he saw the sign that says Iowa corn is better. And my dad's like, I didn't know Iowa and Nebraska. I'm like, Dad, Iowa and Nebraska, that is like a rivalry, which I didn't know, right? Like, and it's what's the Cubbies and the Cards. I lived in North Carolina for a good bit. Like, we were right down the road from Tobacco Road. You know what I mean? So you're talking about Duke, Carolina.
Yeah.
I mean, that rivalry in basketball season is insane. Like, poor NC State never got the same love. And,
So think of this, Iowa and Nebraska are even more heated rivals because it's two states with no professional teams.
Yeah.
And so you look at your college as your professional team.
Okay.
I mean,
that makes sense.
That's where a lot of the loyalty comes from, because like thinking, and this is funny, and you can appreciate this. If you think Iowa is flat, drive through Nebraska on your way to Colorado. Yes. There is no more boring and flatter state. As someone,
we love you if you live in Nebraska,
but Iowa, no love. We're very similar. Someone said to me, it's so flat that when you're driving through Nebraska, you can see the back of your head.
That's funny. That's kind of funny. It is, but it is beautiful. When you have the flat areas, you have some beautiful sunsets and sunrises.
Oh, for sure. Nothing like a Midwest sunset. And for those of you who are following, the madness, I went to sleep, and I need to look it up, but Illinois was actually trouncing Houston which was a
Let me see.
surprise because is it Kelvin Sampson, who's now at Houston? I mean, talk about a great coach. And so, you know, of course, being from Illinois, all my family are fans, and they've had a really phenomenal season as well.
Illinois won 65-55.
What was the final on that Arizona game? Arizona, of course,
Arkansas? And I was
Yeah.
pulling for, no offense, I was playing. I'm a Calipari fan. So.
Yeah, I like him too. I, of course, with my daughter at Arizona, love Arizona, and I mean, that team,
Arizona won 109-88.
to break 100 points in in the Sweet 16. I mean, that team is insane. And what's really funny is I haven't shared this on our show, but the apartment complex where my daughter currently lives, LeBron James' son, who's a freshman in Arizona, lives in the same apartments. And my son, when he was visiting, my daughter had the chance to meet him, and he was very kind, very nice kid. And he has a full-time bodyguard, and he has a driver, and that driver takes him right up to the elevator because, I mean, let's face it, he's a high-profile person. And just as we've seen with Nancy Guthrie, you have to be so cautious in today's
Just the
world
proximity.
if you have a high profile family member, you know. So anyway, he redshirted because that's how good that team is, that even high profile recruits coming in don't get to play necessarily.
I'm anxious to see how he plays, because I don't think his brother was that.
He didn't even touch the court this year, which is understandable.
Good though, but good
when you go to a school where it's the number one team
well,
in the
and also
country.
though good. Because because you have a famous father who's a phenomenal basketball player,
Correct.
right? So there's other kids who may have outworked you and who haven't had the opportunity. So much respect to Arizona for just saying, you know, like having the, you know what I mean? Like pay your dues a bit. Speaking of that, we talked about the Savannah Guthrie, the interview. She went, the interview with Hoda Kotb. We want to break it down a bit. So as we all know,
emotional.
It was very emotional, but okay. She's blaming herself. She said to her brother when the phone call with her brother, and she said, you know, her brother was very honest. He said, because he was in the military, he said, I think this is a kidnapping for ransom.
Mm-hmm.
And
Agreed.
Savannah's first response was, this is my fault, isn't it? That was her first response. The interview was very, very emotional. There is some dissension now within the NBC ranks. Craig Melvin is reportedly, this is being reported all over, specifically by the Daily Mail. I can't even talk today. Craig Melvin got passed over. He wasn't even asked to do that interview. So they bring in Hoda, who doesn't even work there anymore.
I think Craig should have done it.
1,000%. And it's
because two reasons why. It would be like me interviewing you. It's too personal if that's true that Hoda and Savannah are good friends. So they kept Savannah's mic open Hoda's mic open. And I agree with this. It was almost like they wanted her to go, oh, and you know, and she was very, I think, sincere in her reaction, but then that would have taken away from what you had to share. And I just think that it was like almost like they wanted it to be like just two friends talking it over.
Well, and the other thing is, this is all for ratings.
Oh,
and I'm sure they, you know, I'm sure they're obviously like they're concerned for their friend and their colleague, right? Sharing all of this story is all for ratings from the NBC thing. And I'm sure Savannah's coming from the point of, she wants to share it because she wants to talk to the kidnapper, and she wants to do this.
She's thinking no publicity is bad publicity.
I guarantee the management, the consultants are behind the scenes like, we got her to cry. Get her to cry. Hoda, get her to cry.
Close up on her face.
Yep.
You know, it's like, oh my gosh.
It's too much.
No,
too much.
I even texted you one of the clips I shared from TikTok. It was like a Lifetime movie where it was almost like, and I think Savannah, I mean, my heart breaks for her, and I think she was totally sincere, but she was put in a very bizarre, unfortunate situation. But again, worth it for her to keep her mom's case
because
out there,
think about how many times as young reporters we have been, or we have told young reporters while we were the anchors, just get them to talk.
Mm-hmm.
Just get them to talk. Go to the door. I mean, I would go like how callous people would lose their children or their family members in horrific accidents or murders.
Tell us how you feel,
you know, and like go knock on the door. And I would walk into their living room. It was so horrible. And we didn't care. It wasn't about because we cared about what happened. No. It was about it sells.
It was
get the top story, and you call your news director afterward. I got it. I got it.
Yeah.
It's horrible.
It's completely it's capitalizing on somebody's horrific circumstance, tragedy, and
1000%.
and that's one reason, as we got older and had more life experience, why it was easier to walk away,
Right.
because you just feel dirty about that kind of engagement. So I have to share something that was so powerful. If you are a person of faith, there is a clip that Savannah talked about that, that I saw that's being widely shared. She told Hoda, this really hits home for those of you who have, who believe in the connection you can have with God. She said that it has not happened to her at all very frequently in her life, but God spoke to her. And the reason that she told this story is because she was praying about the fact that she said, I just need to know. I just need to know where she is, meaning her mother.
Mm-hmm.
And she said, God spoke to her and said, she's with me. And that was that was Savannah's way of affirming that the likelihood of her mother, passing away or being gone is high. I mean, we have all talked about that's probably what happened, is the kidnappers no longer could do proof of life if she passed away.
Yeah.
So there was no ransom potential. So they, perhaps disposed of the body, which is awful. But for Savannah to have God giving her that confirmation that her mom is with him, like in heaven, it just moved me and touched me so much, because for so many people who have ever had a missing, lost, they just want closure.
Yeah.
And if the closure means that their loved one is never coming back, hopefully they can take comfort in the person didn't suffer, or the person passed away.
I don't know if she can do that though.
Right. And that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like, she passed away and she's with God now. So, I mean, that's the part that's so heart-wrenching, is like, she's playing back in her head. And she said this, what the mother went through. And then it was so hard for her to leave Arizona and return to New York, because she said when she was flying away in the plane and she looked down out of the window and she thought, I'm leaving her. And that was, oh my gosh, it is so crazy how not only will her life never be the same, but I would argue, and we talked about this, the Today Show has to, they almost could never cover all of this chew you up, spit you out news the same way, because every single story involving a kidnapping or disappearance, it'll be like,
you okay?
What about Savannah? Oh, we still don't know where Nancy is. You know, it's just
very interesting. Meanwhile, because no one thought she was going to come back. So in that business, and this is confirmed reports, and I have confirmed reports from people who work there, and all of the other things, people were already plotting who was going to replace her.
Oh, of course.
So they were wanting to jump in her. And I'm going to be completely transparent. And you may think that this is very callous of me, but I'm going to be honest. Oh, I don't watch the Today Show anyway. I don't like it. I don't think I would ever watch, because it would make me uneasy, because I would be like, oh, she went through so much. Like, it would make me like, oh, like I can't explain it. Like, it's just,
yeah, it's the problem as a news person is when you
become
and
the
your
story.
Personality become the story, then it's considered too much and it's a distraction, because we're supposed to just be the messengers, and so it's putting, but to your point, now we're in sensationalized infotainment times where there is a huge argument to be made for, but she's the ambulance, this is the ambulance chaser thing, where we're never going to know, how is she doing today? Is Savannah getting over it? Is she still sad? I mean, so there's that weird, that voyeuristic sickness of, we want to watch and see how Savannah's holding up.
Like, I can't anymore. Like, I can't anymore, because it's like, because I know that NBC is doing it for many different reasons, ulterior motives. So it is, we are not talking to, like, NBC has, in my opinion, has no desire to talk to the kidnapper. They have no desire to, do any of that. It's like, the ratings are up. Keep going.
Yeah.
Keep going. And then
it's true.
When they brought back Hoda, and I like Hoda. I think Hoda's great.
She's becoming like the Judds. How many times is Hoda going to
goodbye
pop
tours.
up, and here she is to greet the new co-host, and here she is to interview Savannah.
Well, wasn't she?
I
she
mean,
was
it's
on.
like us.
She was on. Hang on. She was on the Thanksgiving Day parade, and then she was on, and we've already said goodbye. It was like, and it was a month-long goodbye, and it was you got to just go. Like when we left
It's
television,
like us.
we
no
left.
one wanted to see us.
No one. I mean, we
Especially not the new news people that were in our seats.
No, and
You
why
know?
would we were scrubbed from the
Oh, God,
newscast.
here comes Tara. Here comes Amanda.
Yeah, like here they are again.
They're back.
Yeah,
I thought
so-
you wanted to spend more time with family.
So when I saw Hoda doing that interview, I was just kind of like,
I'm so with you. I'm totally with you. And again, this is not coming from, in our case, thinking that we were superior journalists. It's just knowing uniquely the nature of a business that is so harsh and unfeeling. This is not about what is best for Savannah. It's what is best for the ratings.
yes, right, yeah,
Point blank, period, as you like to say.
point blank, period.
Okay, so I came across an article that I referenced earlier that I had to circle back to. So when you think about the generational differences, the impact of having different generations commingling in the working world is so pronounced now that one of our friends, Dr. Bill Withers, who's been a longtime Wartburg guy, he shared an article on LinkedIn that it stopped me in my tracks, as we like to say. This article, if you have a grandchild or you have a son or daughter, as we do, who is in this generation that's around college age and early 20s, this will make you pause. A survey done by intelligent.com, not familiar with the site, but that was the source. I had to reread it because I couldn't believe this. 6 in 10 employers say they've already fired some of the Gen Z graduates they hired fresh out of college earlier this year. That's according to this study. They said, okay, now this blew my mind. They surveyed thousands of US leaders and found Gen Z's shortcomings could shape how companies hire future graduates. 1 in 6 bosses, 1 in 6 saying,
Wow.
They are hesitant to hire a college grad again because 1 in 7 said they are going to avoid hiring them altogether because the lack of motivation or initiative, cited by 50% of them, Gen Z being unprofessional, unorganized, and having poor communication skills. And this is the part that really was a dagger in our heart, knowing that we have, these boys that sometimes are very dependent on their moms. They are struggling with practical issues as well, being late to work and late to meetings, not wearing office appropriate clothing, and using language not appropriate for the workspace.
Oh.
And I had a slight tingle went down my spine, a shudder, thinking, are we coddling and crippling these kids? Because that's our kids right now.
Right.
They're going into college or going. And so here's the part that I do want to say, just to be clear, this survey, is only one slice of that generation. And so, yes, we do know that there are many kids who are intelligent, respectful, responsible. But the point is, there are so many that are kind of not living up to the expectation why risk hiring them is what these employers are saying.
Well, here's the thing. You have to work to prove yourself. We're Generation X. We were called like lazy slobs, blah, 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 you know what I mean? Like grungy, born, you know what I mean? All the things.
Yeah,
but
the Ethan Hawke show.
But I agree.
Mhm.
Everybody, first of all, this is why. Because we live in the era of the transfer portal. Think about it. We live in the transfer portal. We live in the era of the open enrollment in high schools. So I'm going to go here.
100%.
I want to go to like 3 different high schools before I even graduate because I don't like this coach. I don't like this coach.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to go now in the transfer portal. I mean, what Iowa State had something crazy, like 7 kids just entered and the girls entered the transfer portal. Okay. So what are we teaching? Like, I'm not going to argue with anybody over the transfer portal because there's reasons and I get it. It's not okay.
Right,
for me, it's not okay.
We were the stick and stay.
Right.
Especially our parents were the stick and stay, but we too, we had a sense of loyalty. You got hired by somebody and they put their, company reputation, everything on the line to give you a chance. Right. So then you get in there, they train you, they devote resources to you, they set up your paycheck through HR, you fill out all the forms, and then 3 months in, you're like, I'm out. I'm out.
Right.
This sucks.
We talked about the other day. My kid, I know this. My kids never would have been able to handle what I went through. They never would have been able to handle, honestly. And I love my children, but I don't know about this generation. If they would have moved 2,000 miles away from home to make $6.50 an hour with a college degree, okay, and then to get, called out in front of an entire building by the boss and says, she's not on TV. I don't want to hear her voice.
Mhm.
You're suspended. She basically said, my boss at the time was, if you want this, you're going to have to prove yourself to me and everybody out there.
You didn't run away with your tail between your legs and go back to mommy and daddy.
No.
You stuck it out.
You put your
Mhm.
nose to the grindstone, as
That's
we
right.
say. And I had to work hard.
We took
because
it. We took it.
This generation does not. This generation does not. Now, in our homes, are we subconsciously, we treat our kids
Coddling.
differently. Right. We treat our kids differently because we have more conversations, because I remember how certain things feel and I don't want my kids to go through that. But here's the other thing. Like, I can tell you, for instance, I just had this conversation in our house last night, actually. Luciana is in band. Like right now, she wanted to take band. And I'm like, and I knew she doesn't like it. And she's like having these breakdowns and screaming fits and crying.
What is she playing?
Clarinet, which is horrible. Like, it's like a goose dying outside. I also played clarinet and I was not good. Let me tell you, not good. Like it's so
Goose
bad.
dying.
It sounds like a goose dying. Cause it's just the
Oh
way,
my gosh.
because she doesn't know how to play. So she does not like it. And so she's like, I'm quitting. I'm like, you can't. I'm like, you have to finish it. You're finishing out. Well, so-and-so quit. This person quit. This. I'm like, and I gave I'm not their mom.
Transfer portal.
But that's the problem, because because we know how it feels to stick it out. So I think what's happening is, you know what, you don't have to, you don't have to.
But you know what part of that is? Because the parents don't want to be bothered with having to parent insofar as holding the kid to see through the responsibility they committed to. It's either to just say, oh, you're right, just turn the flute, just turn the clarinet in. It's like taking the burden off of us to have to continue to reinforce and be responsible what she's trying to do, which is, we're not quitters here. We're going to see some of this through.
You have to see it through, because it is teaching you a lesson. It's not about band. It's not about
It's not about you made a commitment.
Exactly. You made a commitment, and it's
I know exactly where you're coming from, because there is that social pressure where the kids don't have their peers being held feet to the fire, right? Whereas for us, it was like, no, you're not going to quit, because us riding the bench or not being a starter or all the things, we would have it never crossed our minds then to just quit, because in our world, our parents and the friends of, the friends' parents, they would have said, why would Amanda quit? Because then you would have been like labeled a quitter.
Oh,
now you're not labeled a quitter. You're like, good for you for walking away from that coach.
He's protecting his boundaries. No, we're raising.
It's true. We make every excuse in the book.
We're making excuses
to allow people to have an easy way out.
This is what people have to understand. For instance, last night, let's talk basketball for one more second, right? Last night, Iowa scored 37 points off the bench.
That was amazing.
Of the bench. So here's what I tell my kids all the time. Your role is your responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
Your role is your responsibility. So whether it is in band and you're doing something that you don't like, you're gonna muck it through, because life is not always easy. It is not always easy. And that's what we have to tell our kids. Like, how are we getting our children ready for what adulting is like? When one of you loses a job, and so now you're on one paycheck. And then you have that, and then when you lose the job, there's only one income, and then you have this bill. This is overdue. This is overdue. This is overdue. Can you just be like, I don't want to do this anymore. I don't want to pay. I don't want to do this.
It's just like marriage, right? You don't quit and just go to divorce court. You stick it out, you work through it. And so similarly, you hope that if you've modeled that in your personal life, you hope that professionally, your children will also adopt that same posture where they understand you're going to have bosses that theoretically suck, but you are sometimes going to have to endure, not abuse, but definitely understanding that you're not the supervisor. And so you are the subordinate.
Yeah.
I think that's hard for a lot of kids.
It is. I remember when I was working in North Carolina, I was an anchor, and so we always had a lot of college kids coming in who wanted to intern, shadow, do all the things. So this young woman walks in wearing like a halter top and like booty shorts. And I looked at her and I said, you need to dress more professionally when she comes in. She's like, you can't talk to me like this. And I literally got up in her face. I go, yeah, I can. Yeah, I can. And I'm gonna. Because I was like, you literally can't talk to me like this. And I'm like, is that how you talk to, like, and at that moment, I knew I was old. But I'm like, is that how you talk to your parents? You know what I mean? But it was very much like, you can't talk to me. And that's the mentality. You can't. Well, then who can?
Yes.
Then who can?
And what we have seen, as you described time and time again, is somebody, and we say this all the time, somebody, especially young people, that likes to dish it out, you better be able to take it. And what we see, there are a lot of people who are so bold and bad, you know, behind a keyboard. And then the minute that someone piles on them and comments to sort of, you know, challenge them, they delete the comment. Like, oh, well, people don't all agree with me. I thought everyone agreed that Amanda looks terrible without lipstick. So then the minute that somebody says, no, you're an idiot, then they're like, oh, let me just creep back away into the shadows because you don't like it when it's dished back out to you.
Oh, no.
We see that every day, right?
Yeah, right.
And so many of you can relate to this because you've had somebody on your Facebook post say something crass or callous or passive aggressive, and then somebody claps back at them.
Then they're the
and then you
victim.
tell somebody, did you see that comment that so-and-so? And then you go back and look and you're like, oh, they deleted it. That happens all the time, right? Okay, a couple of great comments I wanted to share from Danielle. Ladies, I'm getting ready listening to you. Hubby walks in and says, who are you listening to? And I said, remember our favorite news ladies? His response, the news is not the same without those two. Thank you. As I was first reading that, I thought he was going to say, those broads are still,
they're still hanging on.
There.
They're still hanging on.
And our friend Alice said, happy Friday morning, Amanda and Tara, and everyone watching the chat. Can't wait to see what you guys are working on today. So inspiring. Time to get this day started. And you two are the perfect motivators. Thank you for that. We are grateful that all of you want to spend part of your day with us. We have been so overwhelmed, I will say, by the number of people friends and now new friends who have regularly made this a part of their morning routine. One lady told us when we were in Alden on Tuesday, she said, I don't even watch the traditional news anymore, but I do watch you guys on your Monday, Wednesday, Friday group chat. And I loved that because for us, we have said, even though, yes, it's been hard every time that we, you know, have to have a late night or kids events to then get up and do this show, we always say it's just for us, it's like a fun way that we can process everything that's happening. And we always have so many opinions and thoughts about not just the news of the day, but all the sort of goings on in our culture, because that was the one thing that we weren't afforded the opportunity to do, was to really discuss and analyze in depth all the things that we were reporting on.
Right.
We were just the facts. So when we had to share some horrific story, we never got to process and talk through how we were receiving that because we were just on to the next.
Yes.
I mean, you know, it's just, so what a gift that we now have this forum.
It is. It's just nice to be able to showcase who we really are and showcase our personalities
and that we care.
And then we can talk about what matters, you know, and not bore people with, you know, just running through. It's like news today is just running through what they think people want to know. Like, I want to know, like, before I walk outside, I don't need a 17-hour long weather forecast. I can tell you it's cold out. That's why I have this giant sweater on. So bundle up.
I made the mistake yesterday of not wearing a coat.
It's horrible. But I have to tell you this. So my parents, in a couple of days, I think Monday, they leave for Italy.
Oh, that's so exciting.
They're going back to the motherland. And they're going to be in Italy for Easter. They're going to be they're going to the Vatican. They're going to the Vatican. And so I was trying to explain to them. So my dad and I are the same person. My dad does not like crowds. And I go, Greg, you're going to have to be throwing some elbow. Like you're going like, I mean, people are they're not
absolutely.
Like, the people from all over the world are at the Vatican and they're pushing through.
Especially
and it's very tight
for Easter.
It's going to be tight. So I'm like, you can't remember, don't swear. You're gonna be, you know,
or throw some holy water over your shoulder.
oh,
You
it's
know,
gonna.
so they're going for the first time.
They're
right,
going for
to
the first
Italy.
time.
I'm
So,
very happy for them.
My parents always, we did the same things growing up. Like they didn't go over to Europe because it's like, no, we're going to Ocean City, Maryland. Because if you are
Sure.
an East Coaster, you went to the Jersey Shore, you went to Ocean City, and it was great. I mean, that was a great place to grow up in the summer times.
Absolutely.
Great, like everything. So they never wanted to go. And I think that they were like, oh, it's going to cost us, it's going to be like, you know, hundreds of thousands of dollars. So when we went to Italy last year, I came home and I'm like, you're going. You were going.
That was
you're going,
so
you're going.
great that you nudged them and you uniquely understood something that we both have talked about. When you see somebody traveling like overseas, you forget if you're going to Disney World, if you're tailgating at the Iowa game and buying, you know, choice tickets, you are probably spending as much, if not more, because once you get the airfare covered, you can find good deals over in Europe. You were able to find affordable Airbnbs and you found great food.
Third of the cost in Italy, third of the cost that we ever spent when we would go to Florida. And definitely,
I believe that,
and
especially Disney World.
Just Disney, like
where there's a $15 Mickey Mouse ear ice cream bar awaiting you.
Don't even get me started. Don't even get me started.
So 30 seconds in, it's dripping all over your kid's hand in the stroller, and then you end up eating it or throwing it away.
Yeah, no, it's too much. No, when you're getting the best food. So I'm really excited for them. However, I'm like, because my parents, they're very young and vivacious, you know, but in their age, my dad's going to be 79 and my mom is 72, 73. So she's gonna be 74 this year. So she's gonna be 74. But so, you know what I mean? Like, and so I was literally like going through, I'm like, do you have your compression socks for the airplane? So I'm giving like them blow by blow. And then I'm like, when you get, because they're staying in, they're doing the Amalfi Coast first and then they're doing Rome. So they're literally doing pretty much the same trip we did, but they're going to stay in Sorrento. And I picked Sorrento because it's flat. Because the Amalfi Coast is very like cliffs and stuff.
How beautiful. I'm excited to hear their take. Now, granted, they're being, you know, advanced age a little bit. We'll probably have some complaints.
This is what's interesting. And I want to like, and I don't know if anybody else is like this, who is in the group chat right now. My mother, she is very like scheduled on a vacation. We're going to get up at 6:30. We're going to go to the beach. And I'm like, let me like breathe. Like, I am very different. My dad and I are very similar. So my husband loves how I am on vacation, especially when we were in Italy and Spain. I was like, we're going to get up. We're going to walk out the door and we're going to explore.
That's so great. And that allows you to not feel the pressure of having to stick to, we have to be here at this time or a schedule.
And I told my mom, I'm like, when you are in Rome, you're going to see all of the things, right? Because when you're walking in Rome, it's very unique. Because like, you're like, oh, there's Gucci. There's like, and oh, there's the Pantheon. Like,
that's so neat.
When you walk out your door to go explore, it just allows you to get in like every aspect of the city. So I'm hoping, I don't know. I mean, because these are habits. And I'm like, you just need to chill, Nanette. Chill. Just walk around. So I'm anxious.
So Lori said, good morning. I'm changing the topic a bit. I don't know if you ladies know this, but this week, a station in Cedar Rapids has changed their newscast. No anchors visibly seen on TV. I hate it. We were aware of this. We were tipped off by a former colleague who's at another station in Cedar Rapids that this was afoot. And it was actually Ron who told us about it. So it's our understanding that they have done away with the traditional anchors who would introduce the stories or have this banter. And they are just stringing together all of what we call packages or stories. So I think some of those, maybe some, if not all of those anchors, were given the opportunity. You can continue working here, but you're now going to be subjugated to the role of reporter.
They didn't want to not be on television. So they're like, I'm out. And then
it still pop up with a stand-up.
Yeah. It is different. Well, here's the thing. News is dead. Like, and the longer that you hang on, it's not appointment television anymore. I think the older generation is still watching. It's like my parents' generation, because that's what they're used to. They like the
coveted advertising demo, unfortunately, is 25 to 54. I'm almost out of it.
I am not watching. I am a news nerd. I do not watch local news, and
Which speaks volumes.
Yeah, like I'm not watching it. First of all, the quality is subpar anymore across the country of local news. Like I'm not getting anything. And here's the thing. The most important stuff happens within the first 4 minutes of the newscast. First 4 minutes.
The other part that is hard for people to, wrap their brains around is you are not seeing news driven by this charge or obligation to educate the public. It's a way to deliver commercials to you. And we're not knocking it. That was the model that we embraced, but we were just there to fill the space in between the commercials.
Right. Yeah. Like, do you know how much the news stations celebrated when they would have the Super Bowl on their station? And then that's why, do you ever notice when you're watching the Super Bowl and then all of a sudden you see the main evening team working on a Sunday when they normally don't work Sunday? It's all because of this.
Yeah.
That's all because of this. I mean, like, there's a lot of secrets that we can tell you. Like, if you know weather is leading the newscast, it's because they have no news for the day. It's because they have no news for the day. Like, you know what I mean? Like, that's what it is.
So true.
So we can tell you all the, if you go to the show, we tell you some of the tricks and the trades. But I am,
jaded. We're jaded.
I don't think a lot of local news is going to have people anymore, because as the population continues to age, you're not getting the numbers. I mean, I think you saw
the ratings.
The ratings.
It was shocking. It was shocking because back in the day when we were doing evenings, I mean, the share for the local station could be like in the low 20s up to like 21 to 24. That means 21% or 24% of all the households, the viewing households in that footprint of the market, the TV market, were watching that station. And now they're getting like decimal point, like 0.1, right? So like way less than 1% of the audience.
So to give you an idea,
crazy.
there are more people watching the group chat, this digitally streamed show, than watching the 5, 6, and 10 o'clock newscasts combined.
Yeah. Okay. And she's talking about not necessarily like the live audience, but
everyone
everyone who would collectively view the stream. So so that if you told an advertiser, a salesperson that like 10 years ago, they would have laughed at you.
Right.
And that's how much it's eroded. I mean, the other piece that we should mention too is this is not, the fault of anyone. It's the reality of a business where you were dependent on eyeballs that only had so many choices. Now we have 20, streaming options plus devices that are also distracting us. So now if you're even watching, you're also looking at your phone.
Bit of karma. It's a bit of karma.
I got to read this comment going back to our talk about Gen Z. Lisa said, this hits home. My son is a senior in high school. He is in his 4th year of Spanish. He wanted to drop it at semester in January because other boys were dropping. I put my foot down and said, no way in heck you're dropping. You don't give up or quit when you're just about done. FYI, he's still in Spanish. Good for you. Good for you. And what we like to tell our kids, and, again, we've all been there. We did this with our parents. When you say, but so-and-so is doing this, I don't care about so-and-so. You're not doing it. So sometimes you just have to say, who cares what the peanut gallery is doing in this household? You're going to be held to a certain standard.
Yeah, you have to be careful. There was always the helicopter parenting, and now we have the lawnmower parenting. So when you are, mowing down all the obstacles for your kid, like we're actually making it harder for them, later in life. They're not going to be employable children, and unless your kids are going to be independently wealthy or invent something that, if they're going to invent something.
Or as my son said years ago, he was going to be a YouTuber and drive around in a van.
In a creepy van? Are we? So, by the way, on my way over here this morning, we only have 1 minute left. I'm going to tell you, I saw a gentleman driving a giant truck, and it said, curb stomp your local pedophile.
Are you kidding me?
No. And it was in giant letters. And I was laughing, and I'm like, and I know, like, during Lent as a Catholic, I probably shouldn't like encourage or condone violence, but I kind of like rolled up and I looked at the guy and I went, just gave him the head nod, Like I'm like, wow, like I like it. And
Wait,
it
was this
just,
a bumper sticker?
it was
or
on it was like this big, and it was on the lower right corner of his
was
back
it
window.
because he's driving a stereotypical pedophile looking van?
No, he was telling you to
Okay.
curb stop.
No, but I mean, what you? Oh, it was a truck.
It was a truck,
Okay,
truck.
got
He
it.
was saying
I thought
curb
you meant
stomp.
he had like a white van.
No, he did not have the white van. He had a truck, but it's a curb stop your local pedophile. And I
That
said,
is so
that's something I can
funny.
get behind there, sir. So thank you so much for joining us. The 4-letter word of the day brought to you by Azalea Lane Boutique is grow. Grow. That means grow through your pain, Generation Z. Stay and fight through it. You're gonna grow from that clarinet lesson.
Even if it sounds like a what do you say?
Dying goose.
That is so.
It's so bad, guys.
That is hilarious. Our verse of the day comes from Jeremiah chapter 29, verse 13. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart.
That's
And
good.
I love this because we don't have to put on airs, fix ourselves up. You can approach God at any point, in any circumstance, in any situation, and you don't have to be anything but open-hearted.
Amen.
And that's such a great comfort, because when you're so overwhelmed and when you just can't see the light, when you're, in that darkness, I love that you can just suspend your mind and just let your heart lead you.
Yeah.
And
that's
so,
amazing.
so much of our lives, especially our working lives, we were overthinking everything, because so much of it was like, we can't control this, but we're going to stress about it.
Yep.
And
Nope.
now we say how sad for us that we wasted a lot of time and energy
Yes.
on so many inconsequential things.
So much stupid stuff. Thanks so much for joining us. Have a great day.
She's wrapping me, folks. Goodbye. Sorry I kept going on. Have a great weekend.
The group chat is brought to you by the empowering staff at Middle River Cabinetry, Splendore the Medical Spa, and Azalea Lane Boutique.